We've got about 4.5 hours left till the Bitcoin close here on the Wednesday session. We're trying to break the trend line of the rising wedge right now, dipping slightly under the 10-period moving average, slipping under the 50-period moving average on the 4-hour chart. Profit taking around this break to a new high, at least so far. Again, we could still push up to this 113,000 area. Then overthrow it, go to 114, 115, 116, 117,000. An overthrow, we could still reach that level. Could still be a larger corrective move and still go higher. That's certainly possible. We end up building upon this divergence right here and getting one on the oscillator in the daily time frame. Our MACD has rolled over. The divergence on the stochastic here rally back up. So far we just have a lower high. Do we get a higher low and continue to try to rally? We have the Nvidia earnings after hours for the stock market. If the market rallies with Nvidia and Nvidia rallies, could see Bitcoin participate in that. We'll reach the levels that I've been talking about. I still think that is very likely, but I'm open-minded to the other scenario. I've been talking about both. Somebody asked me, is it possible Bitcoin has already peaked? Yeah, it's very, very possible. And again, as a trader, I remain extremely open-minded. But again, we've had the bottom that I predicted, the day of the bottom, and the rally I predicted, 50% rally. Guesses it's likely not done yet. Could be forming another triangle as well. We had one back over here. We could be forming another triangle continuation. Right here could be forming a triangle continuation pattern. This scenario says, okay, we finished our first wave, we're getting the wave 2, and we're already starting this ABC move down. Assumes that we get all kinds of sell signals, that momentum turns. The momentum line has not turned bearish. We don't have a bearish reversal of conditions. We have taken out the 10 in the daily. We've taken out the 50 here, and we're right here at the cloud. If we see a rally, we are breaking the trend line, but if we see a rally, Nvidia and the stock market rallies with Nvidia, then Bitcoin very well could participate in that and get the final push higher. They'll have that multiple negative diversions on pring parameter. It still could form one in the recent price action. We very well could see that happen here on pring parameter and on the RSI. It could still turn up and get another reference point would invalidate this count. This count I think is less likely, but I think it's an alternative count. If we get a lower high and then a lower low, start breaking down and stop making new highs, at the lower low we start seeing all kinds of bearish momentum signals being triggered. I think this is more likely that we have this extended wave 3, and we've either completed 4 or we're getting something like that for 4. The triangle I mentioned, it's done, and we get a higher low, then maybe we've started this final push higher. I've marked that here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it is possible that this whole thing is a triangle, and this is a wave 4. We bust out and get a wave 5. And we can overthrow the 113,000 area and even go higher. But again, I think it's likely that we go higher. Don't want to rule out the other scenario. We got above the cloud, we got above the 50, and the 50 has been acting as support, and the cloud has been acting as support over and over. We've seen the 50 and the cloud act as support, and here we are just underneath them, as we were over here, below the 50 there, and just under the 50 here. So again, we're still hanging in there here around our cloud, the lower end of the cloud, but we did break the trend line. Watching to see, do we get back above the trend line, back above the 50 and still go higher, or do we get the lower high, lower low, and we turn? Now, like I said, it could be that we have a 4 here, and we still get a lower high, lower low, and still go higher and just redefine the trend line. That is possible if we have this bigger pullback for a 4 that's not already done. I think those are the possibilities as we go higher, and if you come up here and get one more push higher, you're going to go. Now, as I'm making the video right now, again, with about 4.5 hours left in the session, Bitcoin is down about 1.33%, slightly breached the trend line. That would have to trigger other sell signals if that is going to play out. Even if we get a lower low, like I'm saying, even if we get a lower low, it still may just be just a larger ABC move before going higher. So that's still possible, even if we do go lower short term. So we'll be watching for clues. Again, we got to see momentum signals turn back to bearish, and then we got to see the trend signals turn back to bearish. If we're going to get a bigger sell-off and get a right shoulder, as I think we will, I told you back over here during this consolidation, we get a pop and drop. I don't think the pop is done yet. I was right about the pop. I told you we were going to go up to these trend lines. We hit this one. Now maybe that's it. Maybe that's all she wrote here. Hit 112,000, overthrew the trend line just a little bit. Maybe that's it. Yes, is the pop that I told you about, that I predicted, is not done yet. And then I think you get the pop, the top, and the drop. Now, I made a few posts about that today and week surrounding the Bitcoin conference. I told you I thought we would likely get the pop with the Bitcoin conference and then have it a top and get our pullback for a right shoulder and what I believe is a massive inverse head and shoulders. I've marked it here, the left shoulder, the head formation, and over here the right shoulder, what I believe is a massive inverse head and shoulders. Go up to the 113,000. This pattern would actually measure to the 150,000 level from the high down to the low. If we hit 113,000, it would overthrow 150,000 if we reach that level. But right now, it would measure, if you take the 112,000 area, subtract it from here, that would measure up towards that 150,000 area. Now, if we take the measurement, entire pattern just from the high to the low, looks like it's even higher. The two ways to do it, I'll show you that way in just a moment. I've been talking about it in my videos. I think you're going to end up hitting this 113,000 area, even if we get a bigger pullback. Just my guess, I could be wrong. Signals all start turning bearish, then we get a bigger pullback. Reversal is already starting one or the other. Now we don't have that. I've been posting, back to my original thought, I've been posting about this pattern. I've been posting this chart and every other things about it, social media, and again, telling me how wrong I am, and no, we've had a breakout. This is our. They ignore the breakout from the downward trend line. After I call the day of the bottom, because I have good indicators, they ignore the breakout there. They ignore the breakout here, and they no, it's just a bear market rally. Telling us down here we're going to crash. Up here, the herd told us, no way we're going into recession. No way we're going to crash down here. We're going to crash, and we're in a recession already. The herd does. But these breakouts, they were still gun shy and still thinking, it's, the bears were telling us, it's a bear market rally. Herd was going, yeah. Here, they love to buy tops. They love it. It is their hobby. They weren't bullish down here when I called the very day of the bottom, when I was accumulating my position under the 200 period moving average at these lows, which I talked about before the rally ever happened here, calling that very day of the bottom. My videos, you've seen the signals. I have excellent indicators that nailed that bottom, and we predicted a rally. So far, it's been 50%. My guess is it's probably going to go higher. I told you we were going to get this first wave of a 5-leg push higher. Then I think you'll get the wave 2. At the herd right now, they're attacking me at the bottom, saying, don't you know, recession and we're about to crash? Attacking me at the bottom for being bullish. Same thing happened at the top right now, but the same thing happened to me back over here in December and January. I call the very day of those tops. We hit a trend line, 2 different trend lines on the weekly chart. Formed those divergences in the daily time frame and on the 4-hour chart. My signals correctly call the day of those tops. Seen the signals. We're saying the herd was saying the same thing back then. When you're at a top, they don't believe it will go down. When you're at a bottom, they don't believe it will go up because they look at everything with their emotions. That's why they're constantly wrong. Why, again, people in their herd, they don't, unless they're, a hodler, that people, they love to ride the bull market up and then ride it all the way back down. Members of the herd, they love to buy the tops and sell the bottoms, and they don't last very long. Their life expectancy in trading is very, very short, months to just a couple of years, because of basing everything on their emotions. I still think we're going to get the pop here, but again, we are probably getting close to a top. Pop, I told you that would happen right here, has happened. I don't think it's done yet. And again, I've got Bird telling me how wrong I am and the hype at the Bitcoin conference. These conferences tend to be associated. these conferences and Bitcoin events, they tend to be associated with short-term tops. I think you're going to get that here. I think we're going to get one more pop higher, complete a 13 count. I think my signals will all begin to trigger bearish, and we'll get that pullback. And again, maybe 20%, maybe more. I think we could go into the 90s, low 90s, could even go back to the high 80s. This is 88,500, which is the breakout. It's key support. It was the January low over here. And again, you found support at it here. You broke it, tried to get back above it. It failed. It became resistance. So that's major support. I don't know that we move all the way back there, but I am looking for a right shoulder once we complete the top, which I don't think the pop is done. So I think it's going to be a pop, a top, and a drop. That's what I think we're about to get. A lot of the herd attacking me and calling me names. They're buying into all the hype with the speakers at the Bitcoin conference. Kind of reminds me of, remember back when Larry Fink was first getting approval for the Bitcoin ETF, and he came out and he said, oh, Bitcoin is like digital gold, and you get these people in the herd going, I mean, these people are or something in the herd. Bitcoin conferences, I'm seeing all these little, so-and-so said this, so-and-so, sailor said, I can't sleep if I short Bitcoin, and person after person saying Bitcoin's going to be at $1 million. I'm telling you, see Bitcoin rally up. These people that are saying Bitcoin $1 million, they say it so that it will get bid up, and they're going to sell into the rally. It's over and over. Look, I'm bullish now. I expect a pullback. I don't think the pop that I predicted over here is done, and I don't think the rally that I predicted down here is done yet. I still think it's going to go on. Again, we hit my 105,000 target, the upper end of my target, and I revised my target to this 111 to 113,000 area. And I told you we might even overthrow this trend line, but I think this trend line, these highs are pointing to the next high. If we get some kind of hype or something that gives us one more push higher, and then I think you'll get this pullback. My guess is this move is not done yet. I'm showing you an alternative where it could be done over here. My guess is that's not going to be the case unless my signals, which are correct, all begin to turn back to bearish with momentum, and then we begin to see the trend signals flip, and then we'll get a bigger pullback. Does a death cross over here marked the bottom, as I've talked about, and other bottoms previously through this run higher and at other times in history. Two, I think this bullish golden cross is going to mark a top here. Probably not done yet, but it could be. And again, this trend line right here, by the way, is excluding the shadow right here, touching the excluding the shadow there, touching that level right there. And we did just slightly overthrow that. That's possible that a top completed there. My guess is that's not the case, but we need to see more evidence if that is going to be the case. And right now we don't have that. So I think the rally is likely to continue. I'll tell you things before they happen, like the bottom. It's going to happen with the tariff launch day. I told you it was going to be a buy the news event. It was. I was correct. I predicted this rally, and everybody was saying down here, throwing darts at me for saying what I was saying alt season's canceled, it's over. The herd, they were getting angry, they were mad. Never saw this rally coming. They thought it was over. Deal with their emotions. They're led by their emotions. Predicted all that when everybody was saying we're going to have a crash into recession. We're still going to get a recession. Bitcoin's still going to end up moving into a bear market, but we're going to have the final blow off top here first. We'll get the herd good and complacent here. I think we'll get the pullback. Again, these things take their time. Signals still remain bullish. Warning you, I'm looking for a top, but I'm telling you, topping signals have not yet been triggered. I've had warning signs, but my signals have not yet been top like they did when I called the very day of that top, when I called the very day of that top, when I called the very day of that bottom. I have warning signs that told me, hey, the top is in, the bottom is in at those levels. I don't have that here yet. I have warning signs that I should be watching for one, but that the top is not in yet. This is what I think is going on with Bitcoin. I think you're going to push up here. I think you're going to push right up into this trend line or maybe overthrow it. In all likelihood, I think we'll get the pullback. It could happen here if I start seeing evidence of that. I'll let you know. So far, I don't see evidence of that. Hit the 61.8 Fibonacci from the previous advance, the extension, the Fibonacci extension. We could come up here into this pink area. the trend line or even overthrow it closer to the 78.6 Fibonacci, but I think you're going to get this right shoulder. That gives us wave 1, wave 2, and then I think we get wave 3, 4, and 5, and I think that will come up into these other Fibonacci extension levels. Again, looking move towards 150,000 area, and again, the inverse head and shoulders, if you just take the measurement of the pattern, it measures up to the 150,000 area. That's a 1.382 expansion. The 150, I'm sorry, the 1.27. The 1.27, that measures right here just on a dollar amount. If we just take from the high to the low here a measurement like right here, put it on a potential breakout area, then I think that's more might be headed, and that could take us to the 1.61 extension, which is at 171,000, just under 171,500, which again, that's why I have that target of 150,000 to 175,000 or so, and we may even overthrow that if we take our time reaching my target level, the trend line in the weekly time frame, which is my target. We may go beyond. We may go to 180,000 or beyond it. Reach it sooner than we won't. The number's not my target, but is my target, and that is in agreement with these Fibonacci extension numbers from the previous advance, and our inverse head and shoulders would measure up to that level. If we look at our previous two patterns, we had the bull flag pattern, and we take this whole move from 69,000, the sell-off of 78%, the rally back up to 74,000, and it's a cup with the handle pattern with a cup and then the handle. That would measure from the high point of 74,000 here to the low point of 15,000. You take that and tack that onto the breakout at 74,000, or just slightly above it if we have an angle here. But let's just take 74,000, a breakout from 74,000 above that area, and now back testing it right here with our inverse head and shoulders. Well, the cup with the handle pattern measures $59,000. Add that to the peak at 74,000 right here. That's a minimum objective target for this pattern of $133,000 for Bitcoin. And then and that's a minimum objective target. The target for our inverse head and shoulders pattern, again, is higher, minimum objective target of at least $150,000. Basing it on these dollar amounts, still think Bitcoin goes a whole lot higher, but I do think a pullback is going to happen. I remain very, very bullish on Bitcoin. We've had the rally that I predicted. My guess is it's not done yet. We pull back at the wave 2, complete wave 1, pull back at wave 2, and then I think you're going to explode higher. Some of these target levels that I've been talking about in my trend line in the weekly time frame. Please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, you like my indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel. Let me know you want this information. I just ask that you do that rather than try to sell you a bunch of stuff you don't need. All the link below to take you to a secured site. You can donate any amount you want or make it a recurring donation. If you do that, I thank you. Most channels on YouTube make their money through having sponsors. I don't do that because I don't want to sell you something and you to exchange it. So I want to get you all leveraged up and wipe you out. Just sharing with you the signals I use every day to make my decisions with Bitcoin. Take a moment to partner with me. I would really, really appreciate that. I got some warning signs that we might have a top in or have a pullback. So far, we've had a pullback. See a little bit more evidence if the top is in. It could be. Don't want to rule that out. Got to be open-minded. Being sellers, some sellers up at the resistance areas been talking about. I still think we'll probably see one more push higher once we get some real evidence that the top is in, the short-term top is in. A short-term top. I'm looking for a pullback and then for Bitcoin to go much higher. Say short-term top, a lot of people don't hear the word short-term. I remain extremely bullish on Bitcoin. Eventually, I think it's going to push back below the purple line right here. When we drop below the orange line right here, orange and the purple line acted as resistance. They're now support. We're still above the orange line. To take that out and then start seeing everything turn bearish. So we do have some warning signs, but again, it's just marking some pullbacks here. Excellent job of marking the bottom, but it's just looking at short-term price exhaustion up and down here. I have warning signs. I should be looking for a possible top, and again, I still think we go to the 113,000 area. Another warning sign here of either a pullback or a possible reversal. We've had other signals give us the pullbacks. marked the bottom, the very day of the bottom over here, the very day of the top over here. Right now, Bitcoin at the moment is still dropping down. Just over 4 hours left in the session, down 1.71%. We're going to get NVIDIA earnings when the market closes. What NVIDIA does, we'll see what the stock market does with futures and after hours, and then we'll be watching. Does Bitcoin, if we do get a rally, does Bitcoin participate, or do we end up getting a bigger pullback, or do we start a reversal? We need to see more evidence if we're starting the reversal with our recent high. Could be, as I've said, but I need to see more evidence. I don't have the sell signals. I have some warning signs, but I don't have the momentum shift. It could shift today before the session ends. We try to get a bigger pullback or a reversal, but still green going on here, green bars, green indicators. My signals are still hanging in there. See momentum turn, then we got to see the trend signals turn. Now we don't have that. Signals still bullish here. I still think we're going to go up to this upper Bollinger Band, overthrow it, and get a topping tail or some type of reversal bar. And I think we could see some signals triggered, very similar to what we had over here, where we pushed above the upper Bollinger Band and that marked a top. I think you're going to see it. We pushed down below the lower Bollinger Band here, and it marked a bottom. Now right here, see this little green line right here? It's starting to flatten out. Do you see this? That is suggesting to me probably going to see something like this where we pop higher. When we started to flatten out right here, we ended up rebounding up. We actually got a pretty good move higher. I don't know that we get that big of a move right here. I think, though, that we can pop up to the 113,000 area and overthrow it, 114 to 117,000 or so, if we overthrow the trend line from these two previous highs over here. But wouldn't be surprised to see another push. But this line flattening out is telling me the move is likely not done yet. You'll flatten out, go higher, and then come back and break it. Here we came back, bounced off of it, and completed a larger double topping process before going higher. When we flattened out right here, we had that low, we started to flatten out, and we still went lower. We flattened out here, we still went higher. So if we flatten out here, I still think you've got a good shot that we're going to go make those new highs and top and pull back. Just my 2 cents. No topping signal here either. We did get a bullish signal. We're pulling back, though. We'll see what becomes of it. Signals here are still bullish. With the sell-off earlier in the session, we didn't have the momentum line turning bearish. Now that we're down almost 2%, now down at the lows, it is trying to turn. Don't know how we'll close. It could be that we rebound back up. If we get the NVIDIA earnings and the market rallies, see Bitcoin rally back up with it in after hours with the NVIDIA stock market. But if it does roll over again, we're either getting a bigger corrective move, still resume the advance later, or wave one's done and we'll get the pullback. Again, need more evidence of that. A little bit ago, down about 1.5%. We're down more than that right now, but it wasn't red. Now it's turning red now that we're getting closer to 2% lower. At the moment, we're 1.9% lower on Bitcoin in the video. So we'll see how we close. Again, it won't mean anything unless we get that for a final close. And it could just be something like this, where it turns red briefly, like over here, and then it quickly turns back to bullish. We'll be watching. But get the bottoming signals down here, and then the momentum line turned bullish here. Briefly bearish here, but it's been consistently, and then we saw the trend signals consistently bullish. We've had the trend signals bullish. We flipped back to bullish with the trend signals. Bars turned green. We saw the cloud and the green show up. So we saw bottoming signals, momentum flip, and then we saw the trend signals flip. Some warning signs, but of momentum changing. It only gave us pullbacks and sideways moves and consolidations. Maybe that's what we have right here. So we'll be watching. We got another warning of a possible pullback that has to happen. Could be a reversal, too early to tell. Be watching. Do we close strong? Do we close weak? Recover before the end of the session with if the stock market tries to rally with NVIDIA earnings. We're watching. I said I think Bitcoin is going to come up 13,000 or even overthrow it and come up into this area up here. Here bars are still green. Still got a green line right here. I think we'll see something like what we saw over here and over here at these tops, over here at the bottom. And I think you'll come up and overthrow this area to 113,000 or even higher. Start seeing if signals start turning back to bearish. We still got a green cloud, we still have a blue line, and we still have blue bars. Held the bottom nicely, held the top nicely, couldn't flip it over here in January. And again, things tried to flip the bars, but you couldn't flip the cloud. Momentum turned, the line turned from blue back to red. So incredible signals. Even with the sell-off of nearly 2%, I don't have any topping signal here. I don't have any reversal signal here. Blue bars, we got the tops over here. I got a topping signal and a reversal signal. I got a reversal signal here. I got a reversal and a topping signal here. Got bottoming signals and a reversal down here. Bottoming signal down here. Warning signs with the sideways pullbacks, but nothing here so far. So I still think we're going to pop higher. We're selling up. Bar is still blue here. Intraday, bar is still blue. It's been blue since just before the breakout of the trend line. I still think Bitcoin's likely going to get that 13 count to market top. It was the peak in December, the 13 count, a 9 count the day after the January peak. 13 count marked the bottom here. We went a little bit lower. Could see a 13 count complete here, a top or going a little bit higher. But again, going to be looking at this trend line or just slightly overthrowing it here. We can continue the rally. Since our 9 count here was not a perfected sell signal, we went sideways. It was correct in that we corrected sideways. We had a trend extension. We got the 13 count starting right after that 9 count, and it's gotten up to bar 12. Right here was bar 12. We pulled back, tried to turn back up here, and we tried to get a couple 13 counts, but you need to close above the bar from 2 bars ago to do it. We couldn't do that, and even right here, right now, we're not doing it. The bars are going back and forth. The 9 count got wiped out, canceled out, and we've get a 9 count to the downside. Now that's getting canceled out with this bar from yesterday. Now we're getting a new count to the downside with today's bar. So that tells us we're just going sideways. I still think you're going to hit this trend line or even overthrow it. Deeper into this red area here, this pink area, I should say. This is a sideways move or a bigger pullback, and then, a bigger pullback, and that we come down and then we go higher. Still going to get that 13 count. If we get something bigger, the risk is the peak is in and we start a larger corrective move right here, right now. But I still think you got a shot at that 13 count. We're up to bar 12. Get a rally and be able to close above the bar from 2 bars ago to get it. 13 count can mark a peak, or you can get one shortly thereafter. But this is the area that I think we're headed to, all likelihood, but I'm open-minded to the other scenario that we've already peaked here at our 61-point fib extension. We need to see more evidence if that is going to be the case. See how we close.